Welcome back to the Kevin O'Connor Show. We just watched Oklahoma City storm back in the fourth quarter, win in Indiana against the Pacers, 111-104. Incredible defense down the stretch. To discuss it all, Tom Haberstroh. What's up?
What's going on, Kev?
Tom, I'll tell you what, man. Indiana's offense this entire postseason, pretty much, with this entire series against OKC, has looked like itself. And in some of the comebacks they've had against Milwaukee, against Cleveland, against OKC, against New York, against everybody, they look like themselves to close games. The final 3 minutes of this game, they only had 1 point. And it felt to me, for the first time, a lot of hero ball. You had Nembhard dribbling the clock out multiple times, Halliburton airballing a three on a switch against Chet Holmgren. Chet was incredible. OKC was switching everything. OKC turned it up, man. They turned it up defensively and won that game in the fourth quarter, man, and especially in the final 3 minutes, I felt like is my number one takeaway of this one.
Yeah, this is all postseason long. This is when the Indiana Pacers are so comfortable. Like when the game is close, final 2 minutes of the game, this season, Tyrese Halliburton entering tonight's game was a preposterous 13 of 15 shooting from the floor when the final 2 minutes of the game with a shot to tie or go ahead. 13 of 15. And none of that was apparent in this one because he didn't get the ball all that often. Kev, I don't know about you. I just kind of felt like you said, Nembhard was going a lot of ISO hero ball there, and I wanted to see the ball in Hallie's hands a lot more than what we saw. And on the other end, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, just incredibly clutch, incredibly confident with the ball. And he did get away with that travel on that baseline jumper to go ahead with about 2:30 in the game. But I loved his aggressiveness, and I think that 48-second little rest that Mark Dagnall gave him in the fourth quarter, where I was looking on the floor, where is SGA? He's off the floor just getting a little bit of rest, and as soon as he came back in, man, he was pedal to the metal, and he won that game for them.
Yeah, SGA was incredible, 35 points and closed the game well in the fourth quarter. It felt like, I say incredible because of the way he closed, right? But for the most part throughout the game, I felt like SGA wasn't fully what you'd expect. Seemed a little bit fatigued at times. He was getting points, but it didn't feel like he was imposing his will on the game until, as you said, after that break where he's, a lot of high post, a lot of stuff at the elbow, going to work baseline as well. It looked like, type of vintage scorer, right? It's like taking pages out of Kobe's book, somebody from the 90s or the 2000s is what it reminded me of. It was cool to watch him do that. But ultimately, though, I want to talk about defense, too, because, OKC clamped down, man. Indiana, they had no oxygen, man. They had no oxygen down the stretch of the game, and I think that's important because of what we've seen them do in this entire postseason. Even when they're down, it's like, how are they going to do it this time? But 2:35 left in the game. Nembhard misses a shot, a 0 pass possession. 2:04 left in the game. Had a turnover on a botched handoff to Halliburton. 1:43 left. Halliburton airballs a 3 on a switch against Chet Holmgren on a 2-pass possession. 1:08, another 2-pass possession. Nembhard misses a pull-up against Chet Holmgren. He got the ball with 16 seconds left. Didn't give it up until 5 seconds remaining when he shot it. And then with 27.67 seconds left, switched everything again on OKC. Chet clamped him up. Indiana, man, I feel like this was the opportunity to win it all here. Yeah. I felt like before this game, Tom, this game was going to decide the series. If OKC won this and tied it up 2-2, I'd pick them to win the series. If Indiana goes up 3-1, I'm not picking OKC to win 3 in a row. I felt like the Pacers missed their opportunity right here, and somehow it came down to this 3-minute stretch to close the game. They were in it, man. They were in it.
This is where they wanted to be, right? This is where Indiana feels most comfortable on their home floor. It's a close game. They've won so many of these, 9-1 in this postseason in clutch games, and with Halliburton just going nuclear on every single opponent. and they could not pull it out. And a lot of great defense by OKC. I think primarily, I just love Alex Caruso on the floor for them in these big moments. He hasn't been starting these games. They go with that lineup change to start Isaiah Hartenstein, going back into the starting lineup for Cason Wallace. And I think Alex Caruso, he needs to be in that 30-plus minute range and closing out defensively. A lot of good stops by him. But Indiana, they were playing Indiana Rick Carlisle basketball for about 45 minutes of this game. And then they got completely out of that. And some of that credit goes to Oklahoma City defense, the best defense by a mile in the regular season, one of the best defenses in NBA history. By my eyes, I thought for most of this season, this was the best defense I've ever seen. And they showed it down the stretch, putting the clamps on Andrew Nembhard and the rest of the Indiana Pacers that were moving the ball relentlessly for most of this game. And then they turned into the worst version of themselves and gave it away. I have a lot of family and friends in Indiana, and they were texting me before this game, Kev. They hadn't been this nervous for an NBA game in a very long time because they knew what was at stake. They could have gone up 3-1 in the NBA Finals, and now they got to go back to OKC 2-2, and it seems like all the momentum just shifted from Indiana with this Cinderella story, and now it's back to that 68-win team, OKC, that looked like they were just going to go roughshod over the rest of the league.
You mentioned Alex Caruso, Tom. 20 points.